This is such an exciting video to film. Like, I literally have my mozzarella dippers from Mackey's at the ready. Hey guys, it's Gaia, what's up, and welcome back to my channel. So since Freshers Week is coming up very soon, in today's video I'm giving you all the juicy tips and advice you need if you want to survive Freshers Week this year. I will not only be talking about the do's and don'ts of Freshers Week, but I will also be talking about my own experiences, considering I've had like 2 Freshers Weeks so far. And let me tell you, I've seen some stuff, okay? Like, if you do find this video helpful, please give it a massive thumbs up. And if you want more university advice and to join the cute YouTube family we've got going on, feel free to click the subscribe button. I'd be more than happy to have you. Comment down below any worries or doubts you have about Freshers Week, or even your own experiences of Freshers Week if you're already at university. So yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. So Freshers Week can be like such a crazy time in your life where you're like desperately trying to settle down and get to know the city and some friends. So my first piece of advice is not to worry if you don't have like everything sorted out. Like, don't worry if you haven't already found your set group of friends yet. Don't worry if you still get lost around campus. This is literally what the whole academic year is for. I personally didn't find my like final set of friends until like a few weeks in, and even then like people are constantly like coming in and out of your social circles, and that's okay. No one has it figured out when they come to university, and Freshers Week is literally the time for you to find your feet. So honestly, don't worry if you feel like everything's just up in the air and it's just crazy and nothing's like stuck yet, because a lot of people are going through the exact same thing. Next thing I want to talk about is that there's like this massive myth when you come to Freshers Week that like everyone drinks and everyone parties and does weed and all that stuff. And like, yeah, that does happen, but like that isn't all what Freshers Week is about, okay? And if you...
Okay.
And if you don't want to, you don't have to. A lot of students at university don't actually drink or do drugs. So don't worry if you feel like you're going to get pressured into doing something you don't want to do. If you don't drink but still want to get involved with loads of like fresher events, there are like so many non-alcoholic events run by the student union or the university that you can take part in. Even on like bar crawls, you don't have to drink if you don't want to. Like, so many people I know just order soft drinks when their mate's drinking. Like, even on the alcoholic bar events, you still don't have to obviously drink alcohol. So at the end of the day, you don't have to drink during Freshers Week if you don't want to. And that's the same for drugs. Yes, there are a lot of students that do like to get stoned out of their minds, but there is also a lot of students that don't. I personally never took part in any of that kind of stuff, and I never got pressured to. Next piece of advice I want to give you is take it easy. Don't go out drinking every night, or else you'll burn out fast and probably get freshers flu. I made this mistake in not my first Freshers Week, but my second Freshers Week, where I literally went out like 5 nights in a week, and honestly I felt so rough and like completely lost my voice. If you want to see what it was like during my Freshers Week, I will link the video above. It does get quite messy. You will see quite a bit of drunk Gaia. Also, if you are going out, I advise to pre-drink instead in your student flat instead of pre-drinking like at some fancy bar or restaurant before you go out to the club. This literally saves so much money. I remember when I first started Freshers Week, I was pre-ing at places like Turtle Bay and even places like Spoons. Like, even though Spoons is like cheaper than other bars and restaurants, you do waste more money than you think, and it's so much more cheaper buying like a bottle of vodka for like £9 instead of like that much vodka in some double for like £3. Also, while we're on the topic of alcohol, don't share your drinks with other people. It's actually such a common way to get freshers flu, and especially now that we're in the middle of a pandemic, the last thing you need is to risk getting COVID-19. Next thing I want to talk about is like spending and money. So make sure while you're at university that you are very careful with your spending and you don't just go crazy in Freshers Week. It can honestly be so easy to spend so much in Freshers Week, even if you don't plan on going out or drinking quite a lot. Without realizing, you can actually lose quite a lot of money over a short amount of time on things like constant takeaways or Ubers. I used to spend so much on Domino's per week because I just couldn't be asked to like cook myself something, and I didn't really like my flatmates, so it was just really easy just to like pay like 20 quid for like a Domino's like meal deal, and you know, that's 20 quid gone like that. If you're doing that several times in the week, you are going to go very easily through your student loan. It can also be really tempting considering when you're at university, you'll get so many like takeaway flyers like through your like flat door or at like fresh affairs. But honestly, don't do it because your bank balance will cry, trust me. Like I said, not only can you waste money on takeaways, you can also waste money on Ubers. And my advice when it comes to Ubers, don't offer to pay for the Uber for you and your mates until you've all agreed on how to split the costs, because trust me, like everyone just forgets to pay you back and you'll end up with like no money. There's been times where like I've paid an Uber for people in the past and they haven't paid me back. So do make sure you agree with your friends on like how you're going to split the costs before you get in that Uber, because by the time you're drunk and smashed or like even hungover the next day, people are just going to forget about it, and like I said, you're going to have no money. Also, I advise working out a budgeting method before you come to university. So like when you arrive, you're already with this like mindset of like saving money. So many students I know like end up in their overdraft like even after a few weeks, and not to flex or anything, but like I haven't yet to even touch my overdraft, and that is because I always give myself a weekly allowance, and any extra money that I have earned from my part-time job I will put straight into savings and just won't touch it. I normally budget myself like 60 quid a week, and that includes my fortnightly food shop, bus fare, drinks on nights out, and like just money for like Mackies or like just little something. Obviously this personal budget depends on whether you have a part-time job like myself, whether you get sent money from your parents, whether you like get bursaries and scholarships, or whether you simply are just using your student loan. Next thing I want to talk about is make sure you have a first aid kit in your room or some sort of medical supplies, so you are constantly stocked up on paracetamol, ibuprofen, plasters, whatever. I've mentioned this in like other videos, I know, but like it is honestly so important, and it was something I didn't do straight away when I first came to university, and it honestly like saves you so much time. Instead of having to like nip to the shops to get yourself some painkillers, you can just go to the end of your room, especially in first year when you are like still working out like where shops are in the city and what sells what. The last thing you want to do is go out when you're ill and desperately try and find some shop that does sell what you're looking for. All you need is to buy some cheap plastic box from like Wilko's or Tesco's or Poundland or whatever, or just anything that's big enough to put a few medical supplies in, and you're good to go. I found this so handy to have not only through Freshers Week but like through the rest of my academic year for whenever I did feel poorly. Not only do I recommend getting a first aid kit to keep in your room or like a box of medical supplies, I also recommend investing in these vitamin C supplements. This is just the Holland and Barrett brand, but you can get them like in Tesco, Superdrug, most places will sell them. This one's a vitamin C and zinc one, but you can get like other multivitamin ones. And if you don't want freshers flu, I would invest in these. You just need to dissolve them in water and you're good to go. You need to make sure that your immune system is strong, considering there's going to be thousands of students like piling into your university that have not mixed for the first time. Another thing that I learned when I was in Freshers Week is to never drink on an empty stomach. If you are going out, make sure you eat something before you go out, something like pizza or something bready or starchy that will just soak up the alcohol. Also make sure you've got food in the next day so you have something to eat when you're hungover. Next thing I learned during Freshers Week and at university is to take advantage of club cards and point cards that you can get from most supermarkets and shops. Yes, I know I'm verging on sounding like a middle-aged woman here with all my points cards, but these come so in handy when you're a broke student like myself. I recommend getting one from Boots, Tesco, Sainsbury's, Superdrug. Those are like the main student shops I can think of that like I use that do points cards. This way you can basically tot up points every single time you buy something in that shop, and it'll get to the point where you have enough points to be able to get something for free. I personally find my Boots Advantage card to be like the best thing ever because I'm always needing to stock up on makeup, and recently I had enough points to be able to get £30 worth of makeup free, which is really good if you are a student. If you aren't a fan of the points cards, I do recommend sticking to the student discounts as well. I think you can get more student discounts for shops than you can points cards, but like if I were you, I'd invest in both because I know supermarkets like Tesco and Sainsbury's don't offer student discounts. Next thing I learned the hard way during Freshers Week was to make sure your phone is charged when you go out. I know this is something small, but it is really important because you are in a new city and the last thing you need is to be in a bad situation with no battery to call your friends. Also, if I were you, I'd invest invest in a power bank. You can get these not only for your phone but your laptop. They're so good for not only nights out during freshers but also when you're on campus for a long time. If you are going to events during freshers week, make sure you research those events before you buy dodgy fresher tickets. This is something I really wish I'd told old me back when I first started at university, because I remember spending like so much on freshers tickets because I really wanted to get into all the really cool events and queue jump and all that stuff, only for some of them to be scams and a waste of time and money. I recommend googling not only the events provider but also the venue, because a lot of the time if it is legit they will host it in a big club. And to show you how much of a scam one event was, I spent £17 on one freshers ticket. £17. I think it was like a UV rave event or like some zoo party or something that they always like promote every year. I spent 17 quid on it, only to find that it was at some dodgy Irish pub, and it wasn't even in the pub, it was in like the attic of the pub. And considering they said it was going to be like full to the brim of like UV lights and like confetti cannons and glow sticks, all I found when I went upstairs with my friends were some dodgy older men that were clearly not students and about 5 glow sticks. So don't be like me, don't be like this girl, do your research, because honestly you will hate yourself if you don't. Also, make sure that you are on the lookout for when events are announced, because the early ticket releases are normally the cheapest. Always try to get the early bird tickets or the second release ones, so at the end of the day you'd probably only have to spend £2 compared to £9 if you bought the final release tickets, or £17 if you get scammed like myself. Also, only buy tickets for an event if you know at least 1 or 2 people going to the event. You think when you're in Freshers Week that you're going to be doing so much, but I ended up not going to as many events as I thought I would, and I lost quite a bit of money in the process. Also, do not waste your time on fresher wristbands or like fresher bundles that they advertise at the student union that they tell you like everyone has to get because it's going to sell out soon, and like they're literally 70 quid for like a few queue jumps or something. Because like I said before, you won't go to half the events and you will waste your money. You don't even really need to jump the queue unless you plan to get to the venue like super late. Like I said, don't sign up for everything, because not only are you going to be wasting a lot of money, but you also need time for yourself. It can be really tempting to want to sign up to every single fresher events, like not even the ones that are like the club ones. I'm talking society meetups, fresher fairs, tours, like you name it. But you need to make sure that you have time for yourself, otherwise you will get overwhelmed. Freshers Week can be such a crazy and fun time, but you need to find time to settle and unwind so you can get yourself in the right headspace before you start your first year at university. Even though I suggest not to sign up for everything, one thing I do suggest to sign up for is the student doctors. I know this isn't like a fresher events, but it is something that a lot of people do sign up for during Freshers Week. And not only do I recommend signing up for the student doctor, I also recommend researching if they recommend any like vaccines to take while you're at university. Normally when you get there, they'll advise to have ones for like meningitis, mumps, septicemia, like all the usual ones that you might risk coming in contact with when you're at university. These university vaccines are free as well, so don't worry about the money, but also don't worry, they aren't mandatory if you would prefer not to get vaccinated or would prefer to get vaccinated at your local GP at home. Also, you don't have to swap to your student doctors if you don't want to. I am not signed up to the student doctors because I only live like an hour away from university. If I am ill, I can just come home quite easily. But if you do live away from home or you are an international student, I do recommend signing up for the student doctors. So yeah, for the last few minutes I've been talking about all the do's and don'ts you shouldn't do at university, but the last piece of advice I want to give you is probably the most important one, which is to have fun. Freshers Week, like I said, can be quite a scary, crazy like time in your life when you're at university, but it is meant to be such a fun time, and I really do hope all of you guys have a good week. Like I said before, you don't have to have everything figured out, and if you are feeling homesick or lonely or anxious, that is completely normal. So if you are feeling homesick during Freshers Week, I do advise FaceTiming or calling your friends and family. Like I said, Freshers Week is designed to be fun, and even though this Freshers Week this year will probably be very different due to COVID-19, your university is going to do everything they can to make sure you have a good time. There is so much to get stuck into, so don't be scared to step out of your comfort zone, because everyone is also doing the same. So yeah, those are some Fresher Week survival tips that you need if you want to survive Freshers Week this year. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope this helped. Hopefully, if you had any worries about university and Freshers Week, this video has now answered that. If it did, please give it a massive thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. It honestly means the world, because I then know that my advice is helping you guys. But yeah, thank you guys for watching so much. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!